Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining in today's reading. Today we are going to read the book Sri Vidagdha-Madhava, written by Srila Rupa Gosvami. Before reading, I just want to give a brief introduction of this book. Sri Vidagdha-Madhava is an English translation of a famous seven-act Sanskrit drama written in 1532 by Srila Rupa Goswami. This drama beautifully details the intimate and sweet transcendental Vrindavana pastimes of Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani. It is structured into seven acts, uh, starting with like Venu-nada-vilasa, the pastimes of flute music, and then Manmatha-lekha, the love letter, Radha-sanga, the meeting with Radha, Venu-harana, the theft of the flute, Radha-prasadana, decorating Radha, Sarad-vihara, autumn pastimes, and finally Gauri-vihara, pastimes at Gauri-tirtha. Srila Rupa Goswami, he lived between 1489 and 1564 AD, and he was a Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya and a follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is one of the seniors of the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. That includes Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Srila Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Srila Raghunath Dasa Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami, and Srila Gopala Bhatta Goswami. And we are reading this from ISKCON Desire Tree website. And ISKCON Desire Tree is a free online resource for devotees worldwide and the multimedia social network with a mission to spread Krishna consciousness as per the desire of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And they are doing this by providing Gaudiya Vaishnava biographies, Vedic knowledge, teachings, and practices given by Vaishnava Acharyas. The rights for all the content presented here are reserved by ISKCON Desire Tree, and we thank them for making all of these books available for us so that we can read together online. So before starting the reading, we are going to offer the prayers to Vaishnava Acharyas and to the deities and take their blessings. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhanvitamsya Namavom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha Krupa sindubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're going to start reading the book. It's called Sri Vidagdha-Madhava by Srila Rupa Gosvami. Act 1. May the pastimes of Sri Krishna reduce the miseries in the material world and nullify all unwanted desires. The pastimes of the Lord are like Shikarini. They overpower the pride of even the nectar produced on the moon, for they distribute the sweet fragrance of the concentrated loving affairs of Srimati Radharani and the gopis. May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sechi Devi, be transcendentally situated in the innermost core of your heart. Resplendent with the radiance of molten gold, he has descended in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before, the most elevated mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. Narrator. What is the need for such an elaborate introduction? Gentlemen, please hear me. Last night, Lord Shiva, in the role of a devotee, spoke to me in a dream. He said, O Rupa Goswami, O expert dramatist, this delightful place is near Gauri-tirtha on the slope of Govardhana hill. This grove on the bank of the Yamuna river is very pleasant and it is full of aromatic and beautiful flowers. At this moment, eager to see the forest of Vrindavana, the advanced devotees, expert at relishing the mellows of devotional service, have arrived here. The minds of these devotees is full of love for Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda. Krishna is the crown jewel of all youths, and he is decorated with many fresh flowers. He is as playful as a maddened cuckoo, and he is the original tutor of all flute masters. He is an ocean in which the sharks, which are the minds of the gopis, perform pastimes. The devotees who have now arrived are extremely fortunate. In this place the gopis searched for the Lord, and in this grove by the Yamuna the festive rasa dance occurred. Constantly hearing of the pastimes of Krishna, the Lord of Gokula, the advanced devotees expert at relishing the mellows of devotional service constantly cry and roll about on the ground. Thus they pass their days with great difficulty. Therefore, at this very moment, agitated by separation from Mukunda, they are about to give up their lives. Please protect them by giving them a little of nectarian river of Lord Mukunda's pastimes. My mercy will fully empower you to do this. These were the words of Lord Shiva, the spiritual master of the universe. I shall now obey his order. Even though the poetry in this play of mine may not be very beautiful, the learned devotees will take delight in it, because it is fragrant with the descriptions of Lord Hari. Just as an intelligent devotee, after bowing down, reverentially drinks the nectarian water which has bathed the Salagram Shila, even though the water may have originally come from a well. Now, remembering this worshipable Supreme Personality of Godhead, I will unfold the poetry of this wonderful drama. Sri Krishna, the eternal Supreme Personality of Godhead, stays within the center of the great and splendid forest of Vrindavana, decorated with many groves and elegant pavilions. He is an unlimited ocean of mercy. He is very pleased to perform pastimes in Vraja, and he engages in amorous pastimes with the gopis. May he always delight me. When this play is performed, those unacquainted with the nectar of transcendental mellows will become indifferent, and those expert at relishing the mellows of devotional service will become delighted. Just as the poetic cuckoos are greatly pleased by the same mango that was neglected by the prosaic camels. Springtime had arrived, and the full moon of that season inspired the Supreme Lord, who is complete in everything. with new attraction to meet the beautiful Srimati Radharani at night to increase the beauty of their pastimes. Purnamasi says, I am going to bring Srimati Radharani to Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. O King of Actors, have my words, which are like a bouquet of flowers, become a decoration for your ears. Have you heard me? Narrator says, Oh, how is it that the celebrated Purnamasi has arrived here? Just see. In the company of a friend, Nandimukhi, she has slowly left the house of Maharaj Nanda and is entering the street. She wears a reddish garment on her breast, and she is white-haired wife of Sandipani Muni. She is the disciple of Narada, and she appears as splendid as Savitri, the wife of Brahma. Nandi says, O mother, if you are going to bring about the meeting of Sri Krishna with Srimati Radharani, then why did Radharani leave the land of Gokula, which is so favorable for that meeting, and secretly resided in the sacred village of Santanu? Purnamasi says, Because of fear of cruel King Kamsa, my child. Nandi says, O mother, how did the king find out about Srimati Radharani? Purnamasi says, Kamsa learned about Srimati Radharani's great beauty in this way. Although the treasure of Radharani's transcendental qualities were carefully concealed, the knowledge of it was nevertheless spread far and wide. Those qualities are just like musk perfume, which, even if carefully hidden, clearly manifests its sweet aroma. Nandi says, O mother, Yasoda Devi's nurse Mukhara brought her granddaughter Radharani to Gokula and arranged for her to accept the hand of Abhimanyu, the son of Jatila, in marriage. Never could a more unsuitable match have been made. Radharani cannot tolerate the touch of the hand of any man other than Krishna. O mother, how can you remain aloof when this is happening? Purnamasi says, Why should I be concerned? Nandi says, How can you speak in this way? Purnamasi says, laughingly, This false marriage of Radharani is simply a trick that Yogamaya has played to cheat Kamsa. Radharani and all other gopis are Krishna's intimate lovers eternally. Nandi says, And now that Radharani has returned to Gokula, you have become free of anxiety. Purnamasi says, O child, what you say is true. I am no longer worried about Kamsa, although now I am beginning to worry about Abhimanyu. Nandi says, Why are you worried? Purnamasi says, Noticing that the black bumblebee of Krishna is fond of sporting amongst the creepers, which are the gopis, Abhimanyu has become jealous, and now he desires to take the golden lotus flower, which is Radharani, to Mathura. Nandi says, Now Yogamaya will intercede. Purnamasi says, O daughter, independent Yogamaya appears to be standing aloof. Who can understand her activities? Nandi says, Is there any other way to stop him? Purnamasi says, O child, simply by speaking sweet and clever words, I will stop this shallow Abhimanyu. Nandi says, O respect mother, Govardhanamala is appointed by King Kamsa to watch over the activities of Gokula. Why does he not become angry at Krishna for performing pastimes with Chandravati? Purnamasi says, O daughter, Govardhanamala is very proud, and he does not consider the royal order very important. Nandi says, What happened on Chandravali's first meeting with Kanha? Purnamasi says, O daughter, when they first met, they expressed intense love for each other, and further schemes on my part became at once superfluous. Nandi says, O respected mother, how did you develop such great love for Krishna? And how, understanding that your worshipable Lord Krishna had taken birth, did you leave the city of Ujjaini and arrive for the first time in Gokula? Purnamasi says, O daughter, this was worshipable by the wonderful instruction I received at the lotus feet of my spiritual master Narada. Nandi says, Does the greatly fortunate Sandipani Muni know that you are now staying in Gokula? Purnamasi says, Oh yes. He has sent our son Madhumangala to engage in service here. Nandi says, You are very kind to Madhumangala. You have given him the friendship of Krishna, who is like the moon which enlivens the lotus eyes of Nanda Maharaj. Purnamasi says, O daughter, Srimati Radharani is the be all and end all of my life. Please try to expand her love for Krishna. Nandi says, O respected mother, Srimati Radharani already loves Kanha to the highest extent. Purnamasi says, how do you know this? Nandi says, because whenever in the course of an ordinary conversation she hears the name Krishna, she experiences the emotion of intense love, and the hairs of her body stand upright in ecstasy. Purnamasi says, O daughter, this is very appropriate because I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. When that name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of ears. And when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind, and therefore all the senses become inert. Nandi says, O respected mother, accompanied by Lalita, Vishakha, Srimati Radharani, worshipped the sun god. O respected mother, accompanied by Lalita, Vishakha, Srimati Radharani worshipped the sun god. Chandravali, along with Saibya, Padma, and other friends, also worshipped goddess Parvati. I can only guess that it was by the mercy of these goddesses that these gopis attained such wonderful love for Kanha. Purnamasi. This is true. When the gopis of Braja, whose eyebrows are very beautiful, went to the forest to collect paraphernalia for worship, they met Krishna, and their love for him became awakened. Nandi says, the spontaneous love of Srimati Radharani for Krishna inspired her friends and created their good fortune. Purnamasi says, O daughter, according to my instruction, please ask the clever artist Vishakha to draw a picture of the son of Nanda to delight the Lord's eyes of her friend Srimati Radharani. Nandi says, O mother, I will certainly carry out your order. Purnamasi says, then on the pretext of carrying a gift of candies, I will enter the middle of Vrindavana forest. I will delight the 2 ears of Madhava with the sweetness of the 2 auspicious syllables, Radha. Nandi says, O respected mother, just look at him. He is going from Gokula to Vrindavana accompanied by Balram, Madhumangala, Sridama and other friends. He is caressed by his affectionate parents, Nanda and Yashoda. Purnamasi says, the beauty of Krishna's eyes surpasses the beauty of white lotus flowers. His yellow garments surpass the brilliance of fresh decorations of kumkum. His ornaments of selected forest flowers surpass the hankering for the best garments, and his bodily beauty possesses mind-attracting splendor, greater than the jewels known as emeralds. Now you go to Vishakha and I will go carrying a gift of candies. They exit. 18 Scene 2. Krishna enters. Krishna says, looking ahead with great happiness, these beautiful cows are as white and splendid as crystal mountains. I think that the celestial river Ganges has descended from Indra's city, taking the form of these cows. It has done this simply to delight and serve the auspicious Yamuna river, which is performing pastimes here in Vrindavana. Nanda says, my dear son, you have spoken very well. But now let us look at the opulence of the pasturing ground behind us. He turns around. From Govardhana Hill to Kalia Lake, your pasturing ground appears very beautiful and opulent. You can see many tops of trees which have a multitude of branches surrounding the large goshalas, and it all appears as large and expansive as the ocean. Krishna says, my dear friend Madhumangala, my father and mother have followed me for a great distance. We should now enter the groves to graze the cows. Yashoda says, my dear son, do not forget to return home this afternoon. The palatable lunch I will carefully cook for you will get cold if you delay. Madhumangala says, O Yashoda, queen of Gokula, please listen. Promise that I will take care of the cows so that there will be no fault on Krishna's path. Krishna glances at him affectionately. Actually, Krishna enters the groves because he is joyfully enchanted by the gopis who are eager to enjoy pastimes with him. His speech remains unfinished. Krishna says embarrassed, "This careless fool will now describe many my pastimes with the gopis. I must use my intelligence to stop him." Shakes his head. Madhumangala says, "Oh friend, why do you chuck me as I speak to your pious mother?" Krishna says aside, "Alas, because of this inconsiderate fellow, I have fallen into a network of embarrassment." Madhumangala says, "O Mother Yashoda, he hastily enters the forest in yellow garments in order to play with his friends, the cowherd boys." Krishna says, joyful, "What other intention could I have?" Yashoda says, "My dear Madhumangala, to speak the truth, Lalita and the other gopis tell me that the cowherd boys greatly harass them." Nanda says, "My dear wife, is there some suitable young girl in Gokula whom we can marry this boy to?" Yashoda says, "Oh pious husband, he is only a little boy, accustomed to drinking milk. Is this the proper time to marry him off?" Madhumangala says to Krishna aside, "Oh friend, although you are only a small child accustomed to drinking milk, thousands of young gopis eagerly drink the nectar of your lips." Krishna smiles. Nanda says, "Oh child, oh Mukunda, look at your mother, gazing at the great beauty of your moon-like face, as aromatic as a lotus flower. Her garments are constantly becoming moistened with the rain of joyful tears from her eyes, and the shower of milk from her water pot like breast." Nanda embraces Krishna. "The great joyfulness of touching you brings a pleasant coolness to me. That coolness is more pleasant than the coolness of camphor, the moonlight, the cooling nalada root, the lotus flower, or sandalwood paste." Krishna says, "Oh father, the cows have become very hungry and they are standing here waiting for me. Please return home." Nanda says, "Let us do what Krishna says." Affectionately looking at Krishna, Nanda and Yashoda exit. Krishna looking ahead, Balarama says, "Oh Sridama, look, look, my dear friend Sridama, see how this forest of Vrindavana is full of transcendental trees and creepers. The tops of the creepers are full of flowers, and intoxicated bumblebees are buzzing around them, humming songs that please the ear and even surpass the Vedic hymns." Krishna says, "Oh friend Madhumangala, staying here with you and the other cowherd boys, I will delight the birds, beasts, and other inhabitants of Vrindavana forest with the sound of my flute." Krishna places the flute to his lips. Balram says, amazed, "Look, the living entities and even the inanimate objects are acting contrarily to their inherent natures. When Lord Hari, who performs pastimes on the bank of the Yamuna river, plays the flute, the waters of the streams become stunned and solid. The rocks become softened and melt, and the mountains give up their immobility, tremble, and move about." Madhumangala says, "Oh, how wonderful this is! The cows have drunk the sweet river of nectar, which has emanated from the sound of Krishna's flute, and they are now stunned with intense happiness. They are sprinkling the fresh flowers and creepers with the great streams of milk trickling from their udders." Madhumangala nudges Krishna's hand. My dear friend, my dear friend the flute, the son of family of bamboos, why have you become so proud? It must be because you are producing such an intoxicating sound. You do not actually produce the sound, however, for you are only the instrument." Voice from the sky. The transcendental vibration of Krishna's flute blocked the movements of the clouds, struck the Gandharvas full of wonder, and agitated the meditation of great saintly persons like Sanaka and Sanandana. It created wonder in Lord Brahma, wrought intense curiosity that agitated the mind of Bali Maharaj, who was otherwise firmly fixed, made Ananta, the carrier of the planets, whirl around, and penetrated the strong coverings of the universe. Thus the sound of the flute in the hands of Krishna created a wonderful situation. Balarama says, joyfully looking up, says to himself, "How is that the sage amongst the demigods, Narada Muni, stays within the clouds and recites the verses playing upon his veena?" Another rumbling sound emanates from the clouds. Madhumangala says, looking upwards with fear, help, let us flee, let us flee. Sridama says, oh crazy fellow, why are you speaking so foolishly? Madhumangala says, frightened, looking upwards, oh foolish cowhead boy, do you not see? A four-headed yaksha or rakshasa is coming towards us. He is riding on a swan, and he is accompanied by a naked ghost who holds onto a serpent. Madhumangala looks again and trembles. A Danava whose body is covered with ice is followed by a horde of demons, which I surmise will become the servant of the dead King Kamsa. Frightened, Madhumangala hides, placing his head behind Krishna. Krishna says aside, how is it that these controllers of the directions have become attracted by the sweetness of the sound of the flute and are now staying within the clouds? Madhumangala says, looking and sighing deeply, these wicked demons have become agitated and stunned with fear only because of the musical sound of my friend's flute. It is for this reason that I remain alive. He openly and proudly struts about. O wicked demons, stand, stand. By cursing you or by striking you with arrows from my bow, I shall crush your lowly heads. Shaking a stick, he jumps about for a moment. Balarama says, smiling, O friend, do not speak in this way. These two persons are Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. On their left are Indra and the other leaders of the demigods. Madhumangala says, indeed, this is so. Oh, sighs with relief. I, who am full of knowledge, cannot help but laugh at you cowhead boys. Thinking these demigods were Rakshasas, you became frightened and began to flee. Krishna says, O friend of the demigods, you have transferred your own faultiness unto them. Rama says, look, look. With his 8 ears, Lord Brahma is listening to the new flute music of Krishna. Brahma has lost all composure and is rolling in ecstasy on the back of his swan. Again, there is Veena music in the sky. Krishna's mouth is like the moon, and when that moon rises and emanates the nectar of the flute sound, the ocean, which is Lord Shiva, overflows beyond its boundaries. Just see how, after hearing the transcendental sound of Krishna's flute, Indra, the king of heaven, is crying in his heavenly kingdom. From his teardrops falling on the ground, Vrindavana appeared to have become a celestial residence for the demigods. Krishna says aside, my mind shrinks from performing pastimes in the presence of these elderly persons. Let me go further on. He goes under some trees. Oh friend Madhumangala, just see the charming beauty of the forest in the springtime. My dear friend, this forest of Vrindavana is giving great pleasure to our senses in various ways. Somewhere bumblebees are singing in grooves, and in some places mild breezes are cooling. The mild breezes are cooling the entire atmosphere. Somewhere the creepers and tree twigs are dancing. The mallika flowers are expanding their fragrance, and the overabundance of juice is constantly flowing in showers from the pomegranate fruits. Madhumangala says, friend, how can I delight in your forest of Vrindavana, which simply fills me with fear? I become delighted when I see the 4 kinds of palatable foodstuffs cooked by Mother Yashoda, the queen of Gokula. Those foodstuffs are certainly enchanting to the senses. Krishna says, O friend, you should offer obeisances to this forest of Vrindavana. In this forest there are ancient creepers, which can grant whatever you desire. Madhumangala says, O dear friend, everyone says that you are very truthful. I will now experiment to see if this is actually so. Madhumangala folds his hands. O creepers, I offer my respectful obeisances to you. My friend is very hungry. Please give him many sweet laddu candies. Carrying a plate of candies in her hand, Purnamasi enters. Purnamasi says, O moon-faced Krishna, these candies are relished by the greatest epicures. Please take them. Rama says, smiling, O friend, just see the generosity of this ancient creeper. Purnamasi says, O Balaram, the generosity of that elderly gopi is well known. Krishna says, O pious woman, which elderly gopi do you mean? Purnamasi says, O moon-faced boy, I am speaking about Mukhara Gopi. Krishna says, what is her granddaughter's name? Purnamasi says, her name is Radha and she is as delightful as moonlight. Krishna says, the hairs on his body stand upright and he says to himself, from the conversation of Mother Yashoda and Mother Rohini, I have repeatedly heard of the great beauty and transcendental qualities of this girl. He becomes embarrassed and trembles. Purnamasi says aside, seeing Krishna's embarrassment, Balarama has now gone away from Krishna's side. Krishna says, again, he says to himself, I must conceal my love for Srimati Radharani and these ecstatic symptoms. Speaking openly, O pious Gopi, you should prepare opulent decorations for a great festival on this pleasant day. Just see these large and ancient creepers full of flowers. Purnamasi says smilingly, O clever Krishna, the opportunity for your festival has now arrived. By the desire of the cowherd men, the beautiful gopis will all assemble in this place full of budding and blossoming flowers. Krishna, with his head tilted, he smiles and glances at Purnamasi. O pious woman, what are you saying? Purnamasi, laughing. Oh, playful boy, don't be worried. I am not saying anything contrary to your wishes. However, when the gopis leave their houses empty, your friends will easily steal their butter and yogurt. Krishna says, Oh deceptive gopi, why are you laughing? Just look at this. When the gopis collect beautiful blossoming flowers, they break the twigs and branches in my forest of Vrindavan. It is your duty or stop them. No, it is your duty to stop them. Purnamasi says, Oh charming boy, when the gopis notice how you are so nicely decorated with bunches of flowers, they become delighted. In these circumstances, how can I prevent them from picking flowers? Or they become agitated by Cupid. In these circumstances, how can I restrain them? Krishna says, Oh elderly gopi, your hair is as white as crane feathers, and you speak crooked words. Although the gopis are offenders, you continue to take sides with them. Purnamasi says, Oh beautiful boy, how is it that Srimati Radharani and the gopis have become offenders? All they have done is stolen some flowers from your favorite Punnaga tree. Or all they have done is stolen the mind, which is the property of you, the best of males. Krishna says aside, Oh, how is it that the destiny has again brought me news of Srimati Radharani? This news enchants my mind. Madhumangala says aside, How is it that Krishna has become so agitated by the sound of name Radha? Openly, he says, Oh friend, do not become so agitated simply because of this. Krishna, with loving anger, says, Fie on you, talkative friend, what has agitated me? Madhumangala says, Don't be angry, I am talking about those beautiful mind-attracting Manohara laddus. Krishna says, Oh friend, I was confused. Some laddus are called Manohara and others Moktika. Madhumangala says, laughs and says, Oh friend, I am not trying to bewilder you by making a pun on the name of the star Radha. How am I bewildering you? Purnamasi says aside, As this boy teases Krishna, Krishna appears to have become embarrassed because his heart is full of love for Radha. Thus all my desires have now become fulfilled. And she says openly, Oh handsome boy, the star Radha moves in the sky. How can you attain her, even if you greatly desire it, if you remain on this earthly planet? Krishna, smiling, he glances at the sky and afterwards approaches Balarama and says, Oh noble Balarama, it is now midday. Please take the cows to the shore of the Yamuna river and let them satisfy their thirst. Also take these delicious laddu candies and enjoy them. I wish to rest for a moment with my dear friends Sridama and Subala. Rama and the cowhead boy friends exit. Purnamasi says aside, I must go and see if the picture of Krishna is completed. Thus, having greeted Sri Krishna, she circumambulates him. Krishna takes one step and then pauses and says, Oh friend Sri Rama, have you ever seen this Radha, the most beautiful girl in the universe? Sri Rama smiles with embarrassment and lowers his face. Subala says, Oh friend, how can you ask if you have seen her before? Radha is his sister. Krishna says, Let's go to this grove of Kadamba trees near the bank of the river. My mind is greatly agitated by the thought of Radha. I will try to absorb it in the pastimes of playing the flute. They exit. Purnamasi says, walking about, she notices Radha and Lalita. Purnamasi becomes joyful. Why is my child Radha playing here, accompanied by her friend who is making her laugh? She hides behind a creeper. The beauty of Srimati Radharani's eyes forcibly devours the beauty of the newly grown lotus flowers, and the beauty of her face surpasses that of an entire forest of fully blossomed lotuses. Her bodily luster seems to place even goal in a painful situation. Now the wonderful, unprecedented beauty of Srimati Radharani is awakening in Vrindavan. Purnamasi says, for the present, I will avoid joking with these two and instead I will go to Vishaka. Purnamasi exits. Followed by Lalita, Radha enters. Radha says, "Oh Lalita, what is the noble Purnamasi doing?" Lalita says, "Oh friend, she is constructing an altar at the base of a tamar tree for the worship of your sun god." Radha says, looking ahead, "I think this is the forest of Vrindavana, whose beauty you have described again and again." Lalita says, "Oh friend, this is the banyan tree where Kanha performs pastimes." Radha, agitated, she says to herself, "What sweetness in these two syllables." Openly she says, "Oh friend, whom did you say?" Lalita says smilingly, "I said Kanha." Radha says aside, "Oh, this name is very enchanting to the minds of beautiful young girls. I wonder what the owner of this name is like." Concealing her emotions, she speaks openly. "Oh friend, I think I will go now and collect ganja berries in this grove." Lalita jokingly says, "Oh friend, your body is so beautiful that even a shadow of its beauty cannot be found anywhere in the universe. Although your eyes are eagerly moving to gather these ganja berries, do not enter this grove of creepers. In this place resides a demigod who performs pastimes in this grove. His beautiful complexion is as dark as black eye cosmetics. He easily casts a spell on beautiful young girls and attracts them to become his lover." Radha, somewhat frightened, she gives up her joking smile. "Oh, friend Lalita, you know that you are attracted by this demigod?" Laughs and says, "Why should he try to attract me? It is not that it is not I that he wants to attract, but you who are so dazzlingly beautiful." Radha, she listens and becomes full of wonder. She says to herself, "Amazing, what an enchanting sound." She loses composure. Lalita, looking at Radha, she says to herself, "She is like a tender young deer that has just fallen into the hunter's net." Radha, with great difficulty, she regains composure. Radha, she listens and sorry. Radha says, "Oh, this name is very enchanting to the minds of beautiful young girls. I wonder what the owner of this name is like." Concealing her emotion, she speaks openly. "Oh, friend, I think I will go now and collect ganja berries in this grove." Sorry about that. I think we lost the place. Radha, she listens and becomes full of wonder. She says to herself, "Amazing, what an enchanting sound." She loses composure. Lalita, looking at Radha, she says to herself, "She is like a tender young deer that has just fallen into hunter's net." Radha, with great difficulty, she regains composure and she says to herself, "I must find that person who has made this sound, which is like a river of nectar." Lalita approaches Radha and says, "Oh Radha, please tell me what is happening within your pure mind." Radhika, "Why do you say this? Why do you think something extraordinary is happening?" Lalita says, "Oh dear friend, please tell me why you have become so suddenly overwhelmed." Radhika says, embarrassed, I do not understand what sorts of sounds is now moving from this grove of Kadamba trees and entering my ears. O friend, because of this sound I have attained a situation which is greatly condemned for a chaste housewife. Lalita says, ah, it is the sound of the flute. Radhika says, agitated, what sort of flute sound is this? This sound makes me tremble, even though it is without snow. It pierces me, even though it is not a weapon. This sound makes me burn, even though it's not at all hot. I understand the nature of this flute music. Let us not speak deceptively. Some charming mantra has been read by some clever magician. Vishaka enters carrying a picture in her hand. Vishaka observes Radha and says to herself, she appears completely transformed. She may have been beaten by the sound of Kanha's flute. I will ask her about it. Oh, white-faced Radha, the tears from your lotus eyes are muddying the ground. Your breathing is causing your upper garments to dance, and the hairs of your body are standing on end. I think these ecstatic symptoms are being manifested because of the sweetness of the sound of Lord Madhava's flute, which has now entered your ears. Not hearing Radhika, not hearing Vishaka's words, Radha trembles. Oh, Lalita, I hear that sound again. Lalita says, oh, delicate Radha, a sound is now gliding from the mouth of the flute on the shore of the Yamuna river. That sound is the Garuda which defeats the snakes of the gopis' composure. And that sound is the Dhanvantari who cures the severe illness of the gopis' shyness. That sound is the Agastya Muni who drinks the ocean of the pious gopis' pride. Radhika says, oh friend, there is a greatly painful emotion in my heart. If it does not go away, I will not be able to sleep. Vishaka says, oh Radha, in my hand I am holding the medicinal herb which will cure your disease. Please take it. Radhika says, oh Vishaka, let us go to this shady place full of blossoming lotus flowers near the courtyard and we shall look at this medicine of yours. They exit. Act 2. Nandimukhi says, Purnamasi has ordered me in the following way. Nandimukhi, I have heard that my child Radha is feeling very ill. Please go to her and learn about her situation. For this reason, I am now about to go to Mukhara's house. She begins to go and then sees Mukhara. How is it that Mukhara is now coming here? Why is she crying? Mukhara says, alas, alas, I am ruined. I am very unfortunate. Nandi says, oh pious Mukhara, why are you crying? Mukhara says, because of Radha's suffering, my child. Nandi says, what is wrong with her? Mukhara says, she speaks as if she has gone mad. She speaks incoherently, saying, it is not proper for my garland to be blackened by these cruel bumblebees. I am only a young girl. Why then do you joke with me? Immediately leave this courtyard. Lotus-eyed Radharani speaks in this way, while awake, and again while she sleeps. In this way she passes day and night with great pain. Nandi says aside, this sort of talking is not a symptom of madness. Rather, this is the sign of Radha's good fortune to participate in Krishna's pastimes. Mukhara says, I shall approach Purnamasi and describe the situation to her. Please go to the grove of Vetasif trees and observe Radha's activities yourself. They exit. Served by her two friends, Lalita and Vishaka, Radha enters. Radhika, agitated, she says to herself, oh broken heart, simply by seeing this person's picture you have attained this difficult to understand state of the intense love for him. Lalita and Vishaka, they say, oh Radha, you appear to be greatly agitated. Why do you not tell us the cause of your agitation? Radha sighs and turns her head away. Vishaka, confronting Radha, says, oh friend, why are these anxieties tearing apart your peace of mind, and why are your reddish garments becoming so covered with perspiration? Oh Radha, you are as beautiful and fair as a yellow champak flower. Why has this trembling forcibly broken the steadiness of your body? Please tell us the truth about this. It is not auspicious to conceal this from your servants. Radhika says, Oh, merciless girl, why do you speak in this way? Look at this picture and remember. Vishaka says, even with great effort, I cannot remember. How can I have offended you? Radhika says, oh, mad woman, it is you who has thrown me into this deep lake of burning fire. Vishaka says, how have I done that? Radhika says with malice and impatience, oh, crooked liar, you are the friend of the serpent in this picture. Stand, do not move. Dasa loses self-control and continues. The person in this picture stepped out of the picture. He was as splendid as emeralds, decorated with a peacock feather and very youthful. Radha's voice becomes choked up. Lalita and Vishaka look at each other with raised eyebrows. When he smiled and moved his eyebrows, my mind became deranged. Alas, the moon of my mind burned like fire, and the fire of my appetite for food became as cool as the moon. Lalita says, did this happen in a dream? Radhika says, the person in this picture shone with a sort of dark moonlight. This moonlight excited intense emotion within my heart, and I have become unable to perceive this distinction between day and night, wakefulness and dream. Vishaka says intentionally, oh Radha, this is only a momentary bewilderment of your mind. Radhika says indignantly, untrusting Gopi, stop this. Why do you try to cover up for your offense? Elaborately decorated with markings drawn in kumkum, this fickle and lusty boy stood at the base of a kadamba tree. When I teasingly said, no, 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 that mischievous boy smiled and forcibly touched me with his hand, which seemed like a petal or leaf, which had grown from his creeper-like arm. His complexion bore the luster of a slightly opened lotus petal. I so eagerly desired that he touch me with his lotus hand, that I became full of anxiety, and I could no longer understand where I was, who I was, or what I was doing. Agitated, she says to herself, "O wicked heart, O monkey, are you not ashamed to love three persons simultaneously? You love Kanha, and you also love this boy who played the flute, and now you love this dark complexioned youth who appeared in this picture. O heart, when I destroy my body, I will also destroy you who are wretched and hopeless." Lalita says, "Alas, Cupid's friend Springtime has now appeared and spoiled this entire area. Where can we find refuge from him?" Radhika says, "Oh friend, when the aromatic breeze from the Malaya hills plays, and the playful cuckoos sing very melodiously, and when the buzzing bumblebees pierce my heart with their agitated flurry, I feel as if I were about to give up my life. All these are simply causing me great pain." Lalita and Vishaka, crying with tears, and say, "How have you become so overwhelmed by these terrible sufferings? We cannot guess what is your desire. Now can we understand the difficult to attain condition of your heart?" Radhika sighs and says, "My dear friend, these palpitations of Radha's heart are extremely difficult to cure. Even if one applied some medical treatment, it would only end in defamation. I will now instruct you how I may be cured. If this creeper were wrapped about my neck as a noose, and I were hanged, then you would certainly cure my disease of love." Lalita and Vishaka says agitated, "Do not speak in this terrible way. Do not take away the life of your friends. You will soon attain the goal of your desire." Radhika says, "Oh friends, you counsel in this way because you do not understand the wickedness of wounded Radha's heart." Lalita and Vishaka say, "Oh dear friend Radha has told us everything. Our dear friend Radha has told us everything." Radhika says, "No, no, her great shame has prevented her from revealing everything." Lalita and Vishaka say, "Simply by seeing you we can understand your intense love. What does your external embarrassment matter?" Radhika says, "Since I have heard of a person called Krishna, I have practically lost my good sense. Then there is another person who plays his flute in such a way that after I hear the vibration, intense madness arises in my heart. And again, there is still another person to whom my mind becomes attached when I see his beautiful lightning effulgence in this picture. Therefore, I think that I am greatly condemned, for I have become simultaneously attached to three persons. It would be better for me to die because of this." Lalita and Vishaka say joyfully, How is it possible for you and the other beautiful girls of Gokula, who are all like you, to reject the son of Nanda, the prince of Gokula, and fall in love with some other person? Please hear this. The three persons you love are all the same person. They are, they are that very clever Kanha. Radhika breathes a sigh of relief and says to herself, "O heart, be comforted. How you ardently desire to attain this person, Sri Krishna, who resides within the hearts of all living beings." Lalita and Vishaka say, "O beautiful Radha, even though a champak creeper may anoint the entire atmosphere with waves of sweet fragrance, that creeper was born in vain. If the bumblebee, who is Lord Madhusudana, does not drink honey in its flowers or joyfully perform pastimes there." Nandi says, "How has Radha come here?" Approaches Radha. "All glories to you, my dear friend, all glories to you." Radhika says, concealing her emotions, "Oh friend, I hope you are well." Nandi says, "Oh beautiful and foolish friend, you are not very intelligent. Although you are only a young girl, this great agitation within your heart has certainly been caused by a cupid of Vrindavana." Lalita says, "Oh unnecessarily suspicious Gopi, you can see that Radha is trembling and the hairs of her body are standing upright because she feels the chill of the cool southern breeze. Why do you make this terrible accusation?" Nandi smiles and says, "Oh unperceptive Gopi, do not criticize the southern wind in this way. If the breeze is the cause of Radha's trembling, tell me then why we Gopis do not also tremble with the hairs of our bodies standing upright. Radha, who is very beautiful, is trembling because of the sidelong glance of the emperor of all handsome young men. His sidelong glance, which is more enchanting than millions of cupids, is constantly performing pastimes within her heart. Therefore, please speak the truth. Was the bliss of Gokula Sri Krishna seen by her in this way?" Vishaka says, "Yes, it is true." Nandi says, "Oh Radha, you have only recently grown past childhood and you are the object of your relatives' affection. Playfully moving within the house, you delight your husband. It is therefore amazing that you have become intoxicated by the enchanting qualities of the louder voice of the cowherd men. I shall now go so that I may quickly bring noble Purnamasi." She exits. Radhika, she reflects for a moment and says, "How is it that we chaste young gopis are about to quickly and immodestly transgress the auspicious rules of pious conduct?" She continues her speech full of longing. Krishna is expert at the art of glancing from the corners of his eyes, and he is the king of the handsome cowherd men and charming gopis of Gokula. How is it possible for him to neglect us? Purnamasi says, "O Mukhara, why do you think Radha is suffering from a severe illness?" Mukhara says, "O noble Gopi, please listen. Upon seeing peacock feathers in front of her, this girl suddenly begins trembling. When she sees sometimes a necklace of ganja, she sheds tears and cries loudly. I do not know what kind of new ecstatic influence has entered the heart of this poor girl. It has imbued her with the dancing attitude of a player creating wonderful, unprecedented dances on a stage." Purnamasi says aside, "This is the extreme passion of new love, which is very great and intense." Openly she says, "O Mukhara, I understand the nature of this disease. Kamsa and others, who are the rulers of dynasties of demons, are searching for Radha. For this reason she has become obsessed in this way." Mukhara says, "O noble Gopi, what is the remedy?" Purnamasi says, "The remedy is a glimpse of the demon's enemy, Krishna." Mukhara says, "O noble Gopi, this will certainly not please the crooked Jatila." Purnamasi says, "O Mukhara, I shall tell her. O Jatila, do not be afraid. I will by my mystic power bring a representation who is just like Krishna." Mukhara offers her obeisances and leaves. Purnamasi approaches Radha and says, "O child, now my desires are fulfilled and I am greatly happy." Concealing her emotions, Radha offers obeisances. Purnamasi says aside, Lotus-eyed Radha has become embarrassed and she is endeavoring somehow or other to conceal the great emotional upheaval raging within her. This upheaval is caused by the untamed fresh sweetness of the pleasure of the intoxication of Krishna, who is like the young king of the elephants and who performs pastimes on the bank of the Yamuna river. That sweetness now victoriously sports in the grove of Radha's heart. She whispers to Nandimukhi, O Nandi, Radha's heart is agitated with great intense waves of love, and it is not possible to describe her activities. You should know that this is a manifestation of the wonderful, great, and difficult to understand power of the great hero of conjugal love. Just see how wonderful it is. Great sages meditate upon him after being relieved from all material transactions, and with great difficulty they situate him within their hearts. In contrast, this young girl is trying to withdraw her mind from Krishna so that she can apply it to material activities of sense gratification. What an incredible thing it is for that this girl is trying to drive away from her heart the same Krishna who is sought after by great sages through severe austerities and perseverance. Nandi says, O noble Gopi, I am bewildered. I cannot understand this kind of love. Purnamasi says, O child, you have spoken the truth. These symptoms of intense love are very difficult to attain. Listen, my dear beautiful friend, if one develops love for the son of Maharaj Nanda, all the bitter and sweet influences of this love will manifest in one's heart. Such love acts in two ways. The poisonous effects of that love defeats the severe and fresh poison of the serpent. Yet, there is simultaneously transcendental bliss, which pours down and defeats the poisonous effects of the snake, as well as the happiness derived from the pouring the nectar on one's head. It is perceived as doubly effective, simultaneously poisonous and nectarian. Let us go to Radha and observe her ecstatic love. They approach her and they say, O child, we would like to ask some questions of you. O Radha, your self-control, affectionate dealings and pious deeds are famous in the town of Gokula. And you also have taken birth in a prosperous and pious family. Yet, you have decided to become cruel to your friends. Why are you not ashamed to do this? Radha becomes discouraged and alarmed. Embarrassed, she approaches Lalita. Lalita says, O noble Gopi, Radha should explain her position to us. I became very perplexed when you spoke the following description of your offense. You said, O noble and saintly Gopi, I take an oath upon your feet that I have not committed any offense. Even though I struck him with the blue lotus flowers and leaves which decorate my ears, this dark-complexioned rascal would not give up the pleasure of embracing my body. Purnamasi, she glances at Radha with apparent malice and says, O beautiful bewildered girl, why do you not stop these arrogant attacks from Krishna? Radhika with anger says, My dear mother, what can I say to you? Krishna is so cruel that he often attacks me on the street. And if I want to cry out loudly, this boy with a peacock feather on his head immediately covers my face so that I cannot cry. And if I want to go away from the scene because I am afraid of him, he will immediately spread his arms to block my path. If I piteously fall down at his feet, then this enemy of the Madhu demon, in an angry mood, bites my lips. Mother, just try to understand my situation and don't be unnecessarily angry with me. Please tell me how I can save myself from these terrible attacks of Krishna's. Purnamasi says aside, Radha's tree of love for Krishna is no longer shaking at the root. It has become very firm. Oh Radha, why are you so eager to engage in pastimes with this person you have seen in a picture? Why do you hope to become happy in this way? Why do you want to see this contrary person, Krishna? The burning fire of these bitter pastimes is destroying you, just as snow destroys a lotus flower. Radha, she recognizes Krishna approaching and says to herself, O auspicious person, because of having faith in the words of your friends, we have seen your divinely youthful form, marked with signs of your pastimes. How can we understand you with our sinfully minds? Please cool down our eyes. We, who are now feeling the intense heat of a volcanic fire due to this vision. Purnamasi, glancing at Radha with affection, says, O child, please enter for a moment in this solitary place full of flowers. Write a letter to him, Krishna, and your two friends will carry it to him. Accompanied by Lalita and Vishakha, Radha exits. Purnamasi, beginning to walk, and says, "O Nandimukhi, the loud sounds of the herd of transcendental Surabhi cows is now filling the sky. Krishna must not be far from here. I think I shall now go to take my bath." They exit, and Krishna enters. Krishna says with anxiety, Radha is as splendid as lightning and a source of wonder to the eyes. Ever since the time when I first accidentally saw her, my mind has become trapped in an unending circle of anxious thoughts. It has become indifferent to all the resources of happiness. No, all the sources of happiness. As if it had become a yogi. I asked my friend to bring the pleasant garland of flowers. Why does he delay? Carrying a garland in his hands, Madhumangala enters. Madhumangala says, "Why has my friend become so troubled in mind?" "Oh well, when the occasion arrives, I shall understand the reason." Krishna trembles when he sees a golden colored champak flower. I think that golden complexioned Radha, decorated with splendid fresh kumkum, has become the tilak decoration drawn on the writing paper of Krishna's mind. Madhumangala approaches Krishna and offers him garland. "Please take this." Krishna says as if he had not heard, "She has the luster of an unblossomed Ketaki flower growing on a golden mountain. She is as splendid as a lightning bolt. Will that lightning bolt ever decorate my chest, as smooth as the multitude of clouds?" Madhumangala says aside, "Now I understand." And openly with a loud voice he says, "Oh dear friend, why do you not see that I am crying in your presence?" Krishna, concealing his emotions, and says, "Oh friend, I did not see you because I was entranced by the beauty of this champak creeper." Madhumangala says, "You speak the truth. You are actually looking at this winding champak creeper." Krishna says, "Oh friend, it is not possible to trace out where this creeper goes by its own will." Madhumangala says, "Oh friend, please stop this cunning evasiveness for a moment. Speak plainly. Why has your heart become so despondent and empty?" Krishna smiles and says, "Oh friend, it is because I did not have my garland." Madhumangala says, "You should say Kala, girl, and not Mala, garland." Krishna says, "This is a false suspicion." Madhumangala says, "You do not understand that the peacock feather has fallen from your head, and before your eyes the garland has fallen from your neck. O young elephant who performs pastimes in the groves of Vrindavana, these events are caused by the great prowess of the bumblebees which are the eyes of Radha." Krishna says aside, "How is it that this rascal understands everything? I cannot fool him." Openly he says, "Oh friend, what you say is true. Just as the full moon in the month of Jyeshtha violently agitates the water of the Ganges river, in the same way Radha has completely changed the situation of my mind." Madhumangala says, "This girl is now standing before your eyes." Krishna says, "Indeed, it is true. She has come here because of Subal." He becomes eager and anxious. With the moving creepers of her eyebrows and with her sidelong glances moving in all directions, Radha appears to be instructing the deer in the art of gracefulness. Her lips are as beautiful as bimba fruits, and when Cupid sees her, he becomes terribly angry and prepares to shoot me with an arrow from his incomparable bow of flowers. Madhumangala says, "Perhaps we have seen each other before?" Krishna says, "No, no, oh friend, alas. Whenever the cooling and splendid moon of her face begins to rise on the path of my eyes, my mother, uttering a million criticisms, persistently leads me home for supper." Madhumangala says, "Oh friend, there are many beautiful gopis. Why do you love only Radha with such fervor?" Krishna says, "Oh friend, an extraordinary sweetness resides within Radha. My dear friend, I speak truthfully. Since seeing the beautiful, splendid face of Radha and her charming eyes, when I remember the moon or the lotus flower, my lips curl in distaste." Madhumangala says, When I first saw you, I surmised that you had fallen in love. What is this extreme beauty that you speak of? Krishna says, you speak truthfully, friend. If you study Radha with your own mind, you will begin to perceive something of her unlimited glory. Lalita, offstage, says, oh dear friend, now you may see Krishna, the prince of the cowherd men. Krishna says, oh friend, a young girl is speaking nearby. Let us be silent. Lalita and Vishakha enter. Lalita says, just see by good fortune we have met Krishna. Let us go to him. They approach him. O bliss of Gokula, all glories to you. Krishna says, O friend Lalita, I think that you have come to the middle of Vrindavana forest to collect beautiful forest flower petals. Aside, he says, O heartbeat and courage, I think this flower petal has grown from the seed of your desire. Madhumangala says, O Lalita, what is the use of this leaf simply full of letters? You should rather give us a leaf with sugar candy in it. Krishna says, oh friend, please read the letter. This letter may be a drinking vessel full of nectar for our ears. Madhumangala says, oh friend, indeed we have seen the generosity of your cowherds, but today we were fed with the 4 kinds of foodstuffs by the wives of Yagnik Brahmanas, and so I offer my respectful obeisances to our Brahmana community. Thus he reads the letter. Radha's letter. Oh dearly beautiful, the artistic loveliness of your picture is now impressed within my mind. Since you are now living within my mind, whenever I wish to run, because I am agitated by impressions of you, I find that you, O my friend, are blocking my path. Krishna says, oh friend, this verse is very difficult to understand. Please read it again. He reads it again. Krishna becomes blissful and says to himself, pious girls are generally afraid to transgress the rules of morality. Because this girl neglects those rules, I can understand that her love is very great. Krishna becomes excited and openly says, oh, look, look, accompanied by all my affectionate friends, I wander on the edge of the forest tending the cows. In this way, I have become averse to hearing any news about women. These unchaste girls should not be allowed to freely pollute the men of this community. I shall quickly go and complain to the elderly cowherd men. With feigned indignation, Krishna struts about quickly. Madhumangala, concealing a smile, says, O crest jewel of the brahmacharis, pause for a moment and defeat these foul-mouthed gopis with an expert reply. Cause them to flee with your words. I myself shall go to Yasoda, the queen of Gokula, to describe all the activities of these impudent gopis. Madhumangala touches Krishna's hand for a moment. Amazed and bewildered, Lalita and Vishakha exchange glances. Krishna says, O friend Vishakha, from the looks in both of your eyes, it seems as if you will block my path wherever I go. Therefore, I will attend to it. Although I think it must be some other young boy who has agitated the heart of your Radha. Vishakha says, O lotus-eyed Krishna, who else performs such enchanting pastimes in Brajamandala as you? And who else is able to violently agitate the lofty mountains which are the hearts of the pious gopis? Who else could have lifted Govardhana hill with a tiny fragment of his unfathomable strength? For these reasons, we think that only you are described in this letter. Madhumangala says, O talkative girl, stop. Please stop. I myself saw how the cowherd men with their upraised stick held up Govardhana hill. Why do you praise our dear friend Krishna in this way? He did not hold up the hill. Krishna says, O Lalita, enough of this topic of conversation, speak no more. Lalita says, O beautiful Krishna, you delight all the inhabitants of Gokula. Why is only this one gopi experiencing distress on your account? Madhumangala says, O bewildered girl, Krishna is just an intimate relative to us and he is very learned in all the scriptures. How is it possible for him to transgress the rules of morality in this way? Therefore, all your crying in this forest is useless. Vishakha says aside, this garland of ganja was worn by Radha. I shall now give it to Krishna. By observing his response, I will be able to understand his actual feelings towards Radha. Openly she says, this red and black garland of ganja is very excellently beautiful. May it hang upon your neck. Alternate translation. Radha is very beautiful and she is invested with all transcendental qualities. Her heart is always full of feelings of intense love for you, and her mouth is always engaged in chanting your name. May she become the garland of Ganja which decorates your neck. She places the garland upon his neck. Krishna smiling with feigned anger and says, although these Ganja berries are very red, hard and nicely rounded, they are very crooked and appear to be unripe. I have no wish to accept a garland made of these inferior berries. Alternate translations. This garland is an ambiguous message of love from some young girl. Although great love is intended, it appears very harsh to me. And although it is very cleverly presented, it is very crooked. I have no desire to accept this garland. In a bewildered state, Krishna removes the garland and returns it. Vishaka says, aside. Krishna's bewildered condition is a sign of our good fortune. She covers the garland with a cloth. Lalita says, by our good fortune, we have seen the amazing and unflinching vow of Brahmacharya of Krishna, the lover of millions of gopis. We should now approach Radha and stop her from doing anything further, for she has fallen in love with a most unsuitable boy. Vishaka says, oh friend, your counsel is very appropriate. Lalita says, oh Vishaka, please go to our dear friend Radha, give her this garland and console her. I myself shall go to Purnamasi and inform her of the situation. They exit. Madhumangala says, oh friend, even though you yourself desire her, why do you cause to agitate the mind of this girl? Indeed, it appears that this will be a staircase extending up the mountain of regret. Krishna says, oh friend, you speak truthfully. I recklessly laughed at this girl. Madhumangala says, look, the two gopis have gone out of our sight. Krishna says, upon hearing of my cruelty, moon-faced Radha may establish some kind of tolerance in her aggrieved heart. But then she might turn against me. Or indeed, being fearful of the lusty desires invoked by the bow of formidable Cupid, she might even give up her life. Alas, I have foolishly uprooted the soft creeper of her desire just when it was ready to bear fruit. Madhumangala says, what should we do to counteract this situation? Krishna says, oh friend, I do not see any alternative but to write a reply to Radha's love letter. Madhumangala says, what sort of ink should we use to write this letter? Krishna says, a letter written in the red fluid of roses would certainly enchant a young girl's mind. Madhumangala says, Praskanda-tirtha nearby is decorated with a great forest of roses. Let's go there. They exit. Radha says unhappy. Desiring the happiness of his association and embraces, my dear friend, I have disregarded even my superiors and relaxed my shyness and gravity before them. Furthermore, although you are my best friend, more dear to me than life, I have given you so much trouble. Indeed, I even put aside the vow of dedication to my husband, a vow kept by most elevated women. Oh, alas! Although he is now neglecting me, I am so sinful that I am still living. Therefore, I must condemn my so-called patience. Vishaka says respectfully, oh friend, please do not lament, do not lament. She places the garland to Radha's nose. Radhika regaining consciousness and says, this garland is certainly very wonderful. At one moment it causes me to faint, and now that the very same garland is reviving my consciousness. This garland is the topmost ointment for the limbs. Oh friend, Sri Krishna is the very jewel of all attraction. The name of this flute player is the mantra which subjugates and brings under control those who constantly hear it. This rejected garland of his is the great medicinal herb for the heart which cures our fainting condition. Who would not praise the great and inconceivable power of these three things? Radhika says aside, because Krishna, who possesses such wonderful transcendental qualities, has neglected this body of mine, this body may as well be dead. How is it that I shamelessly continue to maintain this body? I shall now remedy the situation. Radha says aside, I shall enter the waters of the Gaudiya lake and drown myself. Openly she says, "O Vishakha, please inform my superiors that I desire to worship the sun god and have gone to the holy place named Dasa for that purpose." Vishakha says, "O dear friend, you must remember that the noble Gopi Jatila has instructed me to remain with my dear friend at the present time. Therefore, let us both go." Radhika, perplexed, says, "Although Mukunda neglects me, the hostile and unfulfillable hope is to attain him burns nevertheless. O friend, I shall take shelter of the deep waters of the Yamuna river, the sister of the Lord of Death, to extinguish that fire." Vishaka says, "Just look at the auspicious signs appearing in our path. For this reason, please do not speak in this way." Radhika, looking ahead, and says, "Why has the sun set so unexpectedly?" Vishaka says, "This is not the sunset but the splendid blossoming roses of Praskanda-tirtha, which are very dear to the sun god. Let's gather these roses to make rose-scented water." Krishna and Madhumangala enter. Krishna says, "O friend, these roses are thieves who have stolen away this beauty from Radha's lips." Madhumangala says, "Free the hues from the roses and write a reply to Radha's love letter." Krishna, trembling at amazement, and says, "This is not Ilavartavarsha near Mount Sumeru, the golden mountain of the demigods? Why then do I see this golden effulgence in all directions? Ah, yes, by hearing the tinkling sound of jeweled ankle bells, I can understand that the demigoddess who rules over beauty has now entered the forest of Vrindavana to perform pastimes." Madhumangala says, "Ah, the deer has now placed her foot in the trap she was seeking." Krishna says, blissful, "O friend, you have nicely understood. Let us hide behind this tree and hear what they say." They hide behind a tree. Radhika, crying tears, she rests her hand on Vishaka's shoulder and says, "Now this person may only be remembered when we talk of him." Vishaka, also crying tears, and says, "O friend, everyone says that you are grave, patient, and full of all good qualities. How is it that you have become so agitated?" Radhika says, "O friend, because of this rascal, I have lost all of my good qualities. His chest is like a dam that is very competent to check the current of the river of my patience. His face is like the moon, which has become dedicated to cause the forest of lotus flowers, which are my pious activities to wither away. His two arms are the pillars used in the sacrificial ceremony to exorcise my perpetual shyness. Alas, O friend, the snake which is the movements of his eyes is swallowing everything." Krishna says to himself, "O beloved, Madhava has also become stunned by your charming beauty, and he has also lost all his good qualities." Radhika folds her hands and looks at the sky and says, "O Krishna, O killer of Putana, I was engaged in my own childish activities at home, and because of my childish innocence, I did not know right from wrong. Therefore, is it good for you to have forced us into being so much attracted to you, and then to have neglected us? Now you are indifferent to us. Do you think that this is right?" Krishna says to himself, "O beloved, if one desires to continue living, will he ignore the creeper bearing medicinal herbs to maintain his life?" Radhika sighs and says, "O friend, please wear my favorite necklace." She removes the necklace from her neck. Vishaka checks her by force, says, "Stop. Why do you burn me in this way? Please wait for Lalita. I will weep profusely." Radhika says, "My friend, if Krishna is unkind to me, there will be no need for you to cry, for it will not be due to any fault of yours. I shall then have to die. But afterwards, please do one thing for me. To observe my funeral ceremony, place my body with its arms embracing a tamal tree, like creepers, so that I may remain forever in Vrindavana undisturbed. This is my last request." Krishna, crying tears, and says, "Oh friend, see how great her love is." Radhika says aside, "I am agitated with intense longing." Openly she says, "When my worship of the sun god is completed, there is one more thing that I want to request. After I have died, please gather as many flowers as the number of times I have bathed at this holy place. She takes 2 or 3 steps in the direction of the Tirtha and again speaks to herself. Alas, I shall never again be able to see the enchanting face of Krishna, which is as splendid as the moon, and bewilders the residents of the 3 worlds with its beauty. Full of longing, she returns and says openly, "Be merciful to me, be merciful. Please show me his picture again." Vishaka says, "Oh friend, there is no paper here to draw a picture on." Radhika says anxiously, "Then I will meditate upon him, and in this way he shall appear before me." She becomes absorbed in meditation. Krishna says, "Oh friend, I have never before drunk such an intoxicating nectar for the ears. Therefore we must present ourselves before her." They emerge from behind the tree. Vishaka says with great respect, "Oh friend, by good fortune your pleasant meditation has become successful. Immediately open your eyes." Radha opens her eyes slightly and becomes amazed. Vishaka says, "He for whom you are prepared to destroy yourself, being struck by the arrows of Cupid, has now appeared before you. The raging fire of pure love caused your delicate body to burn. O friend, this playful person, crowned with a peacock feather decoration in his hair, and who is the Lord of your life, is now in your presence." Radhika says, "Oh, how sweet this dream is." Vishaka says, "Oh, untrusting Gopi, you have never before experienced a dream like this, where you have not even fallen asleep." Krishna says, "With the movements of her eyes, this beautiful Gopi causes Cupid, wielding arrows of flowers, to flee. She moves with the slow and graceful gait of the king of elephants, and the beauty of the red bimba fruit, which are her lips, has conquered the charming splendor of the nearby lotus flowers." Radhika, her eyes dance on the form of Krishna, and she says to herself, "Excellent, excellent. O heart, by good fortune you may see this form of Krishna for a moment." Krishna smiles and says, "O rascal Vishaka, I have diligently searched for you, and now by good fortune I have found you. Someone with a similar form as yours has bewildered me and stolen away my delightful garland of unripe ganja berries." Madhvangala says, "Just see how our garland is resting on Radha's neck. Take it from her." Krishna says, "Oh friend, although you are very knowledgeable, this advice of yours is not very proper. I do not remember ever having seen such a beautiful young girl, even in a dream." Radhika says aside, "Although Krishna is jesting, I am afraid that he is speaking about me with honesty." Vishaka says, laughing, "Oh Krishna, O great ocean into which the rivers of young gopis flow, stay, stay. At present I can still see the marks your gopi friends on your limbs." Krishna says joyful to himself. When Radha smiles, waves of joy overtake her cheeks, and her arched eyebrows dance like the bow of Cupid. Her glance is so enchanting that it is like a dancing bumblebee, moving unsteadily due to intoxication. That bee has bitten the hold of my heart. Jatila, offstage, says, "Oh, granddaughter Vishakha." Krishna says, "Why has Jatila, whitened with old age, so unexpectedly arrived?" Jatila, glancing ahead, she says to herself, "Why is Krishna here?" Openly she says, "Oh Vishaka, why have you forgotten the sandalwood paste mixed with perfume?" Krishna says aside, "At this moment when the chakora bird is about to drink the effulgence of the crescent moon, this mass of clouds has appeared to cover that moon." Openly he says, "Maternal aunt of my mother, I offer respects to you." Jatila says, "Oh enchanting boy, do not look at the young gopis with such crooked eyes." Madhumangala laughs and says, "O Gopi, as hard as the thunderbolt of Indra, which is fashioned from the bones of Dadhichi, the glance of my dear friend Krishna is always exalted and noble. It is your eyes that are squinting. Therefore you should grant a benediction to yourself, so that your eyes may no longer squint in this way." Jatila says, "O lover of the young gopis, why have you come here?" Krishna says, "O noble Gopi, who would not be attracted by the beauty of these roses? which are so amazingly and extraordinarily read. Alternate translation. O noble Gopi, who would not be attracted by Radha, who is as beautiful as roses and whose love is very amazing and extraordinary. Jatila says aside, because of my contract with Mukhara, I knew that he was presently here at this place. Openly, she says, "Oh, charming boy, you must immediately leave this place." Krishna says, "Oh, talkative old Gopi, why are you so agitated? I shall leave when I wish." Jatila looks at Krishna with crooked eyes and says, "Oh, why shouldn't I be in anxiety? The entire earth has been washed of its sweetness. Upon me rests the burden of overseeing the welfare of my newly married daughter-in-law. You fearlessly wander all over the pasturing grounds, causing your eyes to dance." Krishna says, "Oh, suspicious old Gopi, don't talk nonsensically. What have you heard about the activities of your daughter-in-law? Whatever you may have heard, I can justify my respectable character." Jatila says, "Oh, Vishakha, why are you here?" Vishakha says, "Oh, pious Gopi, I saw a wayward deer and became astonished." She glances at a deer. "Oh, merciless deer, you abandoned your beautiful mate, who always affectionately accompanied you, and instead you uselessly wander from forest to forest, artistically leaping and playing." Jatila says, "Oh, foolish whimsical girl, give up this infatuation with a deer." Madhumangala says, "Oh dear friend, look, although this young parrot is thirsty, it will not accept the sweet pomegranate fruit." Krishna is smiling and says, "O pomegranate tree, this parrot has become fascinated by the redness of your flowers, which make you appear also beautiful. He is standing aloof and wondering whether your fruits are ripe." According to Vishnu Chakravarti, Krishna wonders whether the fruits of ecstatic love of God have become ripened on the tree of Radha. Moving her eyes, Vishakha glances at Radha. Radha says aside, "For a long time I have not drunk the nectarian words of Krishna, and I have not placed my sidelong glance upon his face. O friend, I have finally attained the delightful opportunity to associate with Hari, and wicked fate is already obstructing me, using this old woman." Yatila says aside, "Because of the noble-mindedness of my daughter-in-law, the sight of this Kanha could not have caused any calamity." Openly she says, "Oh Vishakha, look, the afternoon is ending. Let us hurry to the temple of the sun god." They exit. Krishna says, "Oh friend, this Radha is like the moonlight which follows the full moon, Purnamasi. Therefore, let's go to Purnamasi." They exit. So we are going to stop here at the end of Act 2, and in Part 2 we are going to continue from Act 3 onwards. So before concluding the session, we are going to sing a song by Srila Rupa Goswami, followed by a small kirtan. So we are going to sing this song. The song name is Radha Sakhi Jalakelishu by Srila Rupa Goswami. This is from Stavamala, Volume 6, Song 41. And we all taken this song from the KKSongs.org, and we thank them for making all these songs available for us to be able to sing together here. Radha Sakhi Jala Kelishu Nipuna Kelati Nija Kunde Madhuri Puna. Radha Sakhi Jala Kelishu Nipuna Kelati Nija Kunde Madhuri Puna. Kuchapatalunthana Nirmita Kalina Ayudha Padaviyojita Nadina. Radha Sakhi Jala Kelishu Nipuna खेलति निज कुंडे मधुरे पुना दृढ़ परिरंभना चुंबन हठिना हिमजल सेचन कर्मणि कठिना राधा सखी जल केलि सुनि पुना खेलति निज कुंदे मधुरे पुना सुख भर शिथिल सनातन महसा दयित पराजय लक्षण सहसा राधा सखी जल केलि सुनि पुना खेलति निज कुंडे मधुरि पुना हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, श्रील रूप गोस्वामी की जय। So thank you very much for joining in today's reading of part 1 of Srila Rupa Goswami Sri Vidagdha-Madhava. In the next session we are going to continue from Act 3 in the part 2. We hope you will be able to join us in the next reading as well. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.